For the first time since his arrest in March, detained Columbia University graduate student Mahmoud Khalil will reunite with his wife. A judge granted the family visit after immigration officials refused a contact visit with his wife and newborn son. Khalil is set to meet with his attorneys and his wife any moment now, but it's unclear if the baby will also be there. A hearing on his immigration case is set to also take place right after that meeting. So let's bring in CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez, who is following today's immigration cases. Camilo, surely an emotional moment prior to a critical hearing. So what's at stake today?
Well, there are two main cases surrounding the arrest by Immigration and Customs Enforcement of Columbia University activist Mahmoud Khalil. One is a federal district case in New Jersey surrounding the question of whether or not the Trump administration violated Mr. Khalil's free speech when it moved to arrest and detain him. His lawyers are obviously arguing that the only reason that the Trump administration targeted him from deportation was because of his protected free speech. But there's also an immigration court case in Louisiana that is more narrow in scope, and that centers on whether the administration has sufficient legal grounds to deport him from the U.S. And the judge in that case in Louisiana already decided back in April that a Secretary of Homeland Security and State Department argument that Mr. Khalil's presence in the U.S. threatens the foreign policy of the country is already sufficient grounds to deport him, but she also has to decide other motions today. One of them is whether the administration can also allege that Mr. Khalil should be deported because he allegedly committed immigration fraud. That is the second deportation ground the Trump administration has been citing. The other motion centers on an application that Mr. Khalil's lawyers have filed on his behalf to request asylum, and that is a protection from deportation that can be granted to people who could face persecution if they are deported from the U.S. So make no mistake, this is really a pivotal hearing for Mr. Khalil.
Yeah, no question. And I want to pivot to another case that you've been following. You have some reporting on migrant detainees that the Trump administration tried to deport to South Sudan. So what's the update on that?
Well, what we do know is that earlier in the week, a group of immigration lawyers told an immigration judge that the Trump administration appeared to be lining up several migrants for deportation to South Sudan. And the Department of Homeland Security later confirmed that it had placed 8 migrants on a deportation flight out of Texas, and that flight then appeared to be on its way to South Sudan. We know that the migrants are from Mexico, Vietnam, Myanmar, and other countries around the world, and so they are not citizens of South Sudan. But despite that, the administration appeared to be ready and planning to deport them to that troubled African country. However, the federal judge who was told about this case said that this deportation that appeared to be going to South Sudan would directly violate an order that he issued back in April that prevented the administration from deporting migrants to third countries without first notifying them of the destination and also allowing them to contest that deportation to a third country like South Sudan. And now that judge in Massachusetts last night has ordered the administration to give the people on this flight legal screenings to determine whether they could face persecution or other victimization in South Sudan. So it is unclear what will happen next. We understand, based on information from one U.S. official, that this plane landed in the country of Djibouti and that they are still there in that East African country. There's a military base there, actually. So that's where the migrants have been staying for now, but it is unclear whether that plane will be diverted back to the U.S.
Camilo Montoya-Galvez, thank you so much for following all these stories for us.